rents are keeping many with mom and dad. Now, to satisfy this growing need for affordable housing, some developers and architects are turning to shipping containers. As Duarte Geraldino reports, a trend that's popular in Europe is spreading around the world, and now the newest shipping container apartment building is being built just a few miles from the White House.
Take a short drive from the White House to northwest Washington, D.C., and you'll come across a type of apartment building that doesn't quite fit in yet. It's called CUA and is being built entirely of used shipping containers. Project architect Kelly Davis, along with Travis Price, designed the building for people like herself.
So a lot of us young professionals in the area would stuff as many people as possible for lower rent. The goal is that everyone had their own bathroom and took care of their own space and had their own place to get away, but then had their kitchen, living, dining, common area to hang out in at night.
The 3-story building has one 6-bedroom apartment on each floor. When it's complete, 18 people will live here, one person per container and bathroom.
If I built the same traditional building, brick building and so on with this many units, I'd be in the 200s and, per square foot. Now I'm in the hundreds. And that's a big game changer because that can offset over time, keeping rents stable.
The containers are cheaper than traditional building materials. Secondhand, they can cost as little as $2,000. Add to that a glut of U.S. inventory. More than 700,000 containers are sitting empty across the country.
It's cheaper to actually build a new one in China and ship new things than to send it back empty.
This is the yard where those developers bought their containers. Here they're stacked in 3s, but when they're on ships, they're stacked in 6s or even higher, which makes them attractive for apartment building development. Shipping containers have been used for residential construction around the world for more than 25 years. This blue gem is standing in Australia. In England, you can barely tell this 4-story building is made of containers. A similar one was built in Amsterdam for students and low-income residents. Shipping container living is gaining momentum all over the U.S., from modest homes in New Mexico to urban areas like Brooklyn, New York, and even the most upscale communities are welcoming containers. This luxury beach home is being constructed from shipping containers in the Hamptons.
I believe it's $1 billion market. It's because they're everywhere. And everybody uses them for, you name it, houses, garages for the backyard, sheds.
But are these giant metal boxes actually suitable for long-term living? Each bedroom at CUA is 8 feet wide by 18 feet long, with large windows to give the otherwise small space a bigger feel. It only fits a twin-size bed, so rooms are being rented with size-appropriate furniture.
I'll have a bed here, a desk, a large closet that's all mirrored, and then this will all be solid glass with a great view.
The center of each apartment, where the shared kitchen and common areas are located, will also have walls of glass that flood the space with light. It's designed to lower electricity costs. The insides will have modern finishes, and after the building is insulated, very little of the actual steel will be visible inside. But there will be reminders that this is a steel box. Take the wooden floors, for example.
We're going to sand it down, and then we're going to refinish it. And then in the middle here, they call this the tongue. This is the steel tongue of the container that gets put onto the 18-wheeler for traveling. But we're going to paint each one the color of the container.
Before anyone can live here, D.C. building inspectors must certify it's suitable for occupancy. But the demand for housing is so great, these apartments have already been rented, mostly to students at nearby Catholic University. Meanwhile, Kelly and Travis are already getting inquiries from developers around the country, anxious to bring this type of living to a city near you. Duarte Geraldino, Al Jazeera, Washington, D.C.
One firm, Abibu Architecture, is now designing a hotel that will be constructed from shipping containers, so even if you don't live in them, you might one day vacation in one. Well, don't expect everyone to celebrate the arrival of shipping containers posing as apartments in their neighborhood. Elliot Eisenberg is a former senior economist at the National Association of Home Builders and is the current president and chief economist of the blog Graphs and Laughs. He's actually spent a few nights in one of these.
Hey, they're a little bit small, Allie, but, you know, with some creative efforts and a Murphy bed, everything works.
What's the downside? I expected to see things that look like the shipping containers I see when I'm out by the port of Newark, but these actually look architecturally kind of interesting. I can see why there's appeal.
There is appeal. They can go up much more quickly, and I think one of the coolest parts is you can bolt on more parts. So let's say you're a husband and wife, you have no kids, then you get a kid, and then you get triplets. you can keep adding on pieces to them, which makes it much more attractive. You buy it as you need it. You aren't stuck with a big house that you can't afford.
What is the criticism of them?
They don't, as much as you try to make them look nice, you're embroidering, you know, a sow's ear, if you will, they're not going to last as well. They'll start to rust. Neighbors aren't going to like them, and that will lead to people revolting, if you will, neighborhoods revolting and saying, hey, we're not going to allow these at all. We're going to forbid them altogether, like we do other types of houses, manufactured housing or modular housing or whatever it is.
Well, why do these get permitted when you can't typically do that? Because if you're looking at faster, more efficient ways of creating housing, there are other ways of creating housing. We don't allow mobile homes into most regular neighborhoods. Why would this be an exception?
Well, at one level, they haven't been prohibited yet either. You know, they're so new, the laws maybe haven't caught up yet. I hope the laws don't catch up. I think this is a great idea. But if some of them go south and one neighborhood has a bad experience somewhere, and suddenly you can blog, you can Google, you know, new home and this type of construction materials, suddenly people are going to go, whoa, let's pass some quick ordinances prohibiting it, and that would be bad. It would defeat the whole point.
We do know we've got a problem with household formation, that as these kids don't get good paying jobs or are, have a higher unemployment rate coming out of college, they choose to stay at home, and that means all the things involved with owning a home don't get done, affecting the economy negatively. However, if you move into a container, you are not doing all of those things that you would be doing if you moved into a home. So is this a good step toward remedying our drop in household formation?
It's a step in the right direction. It's not a solution. It's not a silver bullet. But let's say maybe we build 10,000 units a year like this. This is a partial solution. Look, we've got a lot more multifamily construction going up. We have smaller houses, in some cases smaller houses being built. This is one of the possible solutions out there. It should be allowed to continue, and let's see where it goes, and let's see how much it flourishes. It's a cool experiment.
Is there good cost saving involved in this? Like, is this something people should take seriously?
Oh, this is really cost savings. Anything built off-site is going to save, off the bat, 5 or 10% just because of the efficiencies and savings in terms of time. So yeah, and these things, since they're much smaller, but these things are only costing 60, 70, 80 bucks a foot, you can get them that inexpensively. That's roughly half the price of a new home. It's a great deal. There's
a speed to the construction of this, although right now, where we are in the economy, speed to construction is not as important as it was in 2004 or 2005 when the home builders couldn't build houses fast enough.
Clearly, and also interest rates are lower than they were then too, but still, it's still a part of the story.
Elliot, good to talk to you. Thank you for joining us. Elliot Eisenberg is the chief economist at Grass and Lass, and he is the former senior economist at the National Association of Home Builders. This week marked a very important milestone for us here at Al Jazeera.